In about 2 minutes. We're in a different format because we're broadcasting both on Facebook Live and on YouTube. So we're trusting that you're hearing this and that all is well. I cannot see your post in the phone, so do me a favor and make sure you put something in the chat or comments in the chat so that I can see that you're there and that you can hear me. Good morning, Garnet. We are now live on YouTube from West Virginia, Virginia Beach actually, and Kurt is checking in from Salt Lake City. Good morning, good morning. I was just sharing. Casper, where are you? Come on up here. Whoop, whoop, don't spill my coffee. We got the coffee. Here's the coffee. Here's the Casper. Come on up. This way. Come on. Come on. Okay, attaboy. There he is. There's the Casperator, and laying right over there is Mountain. Good morning, good morning. Welcome from Idaho, from Boise. Nice to see you guys. Good morning, good morning. We've had a little change of temperature here, and also the Santa Anas are blowing. So we're going to trust that we will not get blown out of here. Oh, look, you coming up even higher, huh? You coming up even higher. Look at that silly doggy boy. Oh, that's get in the picture so they can see you. They want to see you. They want to see you. There you are. There you are. There's the Casperator. Oh, and here comes the mountain dog here in my lap. Here he is right here. We got our Coffee with Casper crew. Good morning from the Pasadena zone. Good morning from Eureka. Eureka, I have found it. All right. Well, this is fun because we're broadcasting in a bigger way, and that's wonderful. We love our guests from all over the nation and the world. We're getting guests. Our friend from Sri Lanka is checking in. Our friends from Norway and from the UK. We're good to see you all. What is morning here? Good morning from Las Vegas. We're glad to see everybody. All right, well, there's the 8:30. So here's the gong. Let's everybody take a deep breath in. And allow that breath to rise up into your heart. And now we know we're just going to give ourselves this 20 workers. What we know is that this is the season of light. We're 2 weeks away from the winter solstice, and that means we're heading deeper into the darkness, and then we're coming deeper into the darkness, and then we're coming up into the light gradually day by day. And so that's very symbolic for us, particularly now, since what many of us know is that this year has been quite a dark and challenging year. And we're learning a lot from it, and really that's what we want to talk about today. And as we've made reference for before, we've made reference to the fact that there's no point in going through a storm and coming out the other side without having been changed. And most of us, all of us, in fact, when we face a storm, for those of us who have grown up in Southern California, and certainly over the few decades that I've been here, we've all had the experiences of major earthquakes here in Southern California. And boy, when the earth moves like that and shakes you to the core, you need to readjust. You need to come out the other side in a different way. Well, so this is a different kind of earthquake, and this earthquake is global. That's the thing that we call the pandemic. Pandemic means it's just going everywhere. It doesn't have borders. And what we have seen, and we're still seeing as we're looking forward to the vaccine, which is the intelligence of man, applying itself in a united way against this invisible thing, or no thing, as the case may be. But as we've been talking about all along, we need to add not just a physical cure, because a pill is a pill. And it may or may not do everything. So the great metaphysician Ernest Holmes from the last century, he said, if you need a pill, take a pill. If you want to get healed, you need to change your mind. So while we know there are things happening in the physical world that we're interested in, welcome from Oregon, welcome from Arizona, welcome from Oxnard this morning. In the physical world, these things are necessary. We live in a threefold universe, born first of the original field unlimited potential. That second phase of that is that unlimited potential moving into form by acting upon itself, moving upon itself. And the Bible says, and the Lord moved upon the waters. That's the waters of this field of infinite potential that is waiting for us. And then the result of spirit moving upon the form, or consciousness moving upon the field, is form. And so what we know is, since everything is interrelated and interconnected at every level, from subatomic particles to atomic particles to molecules to atoms to molecules to matter, we are all interconnected and everything is interrelated. So what's happening through your consciousness and what's happening through my consciousness is affecting the sum total of the field. This is something anybody can Google. It's called the butterfly effect. You can Google the butterfly effect, and it is the contemporary science, quantum science, look at the whole universe. And where we are in the human condition is that we seem to be living with Newtonian science, which is the physical sciences, and what appears to be a contradiction in the quantum sciences. But since the quantum sciences are all dealing in the realm of the unseen, what we know is the unseen is ordered, just as we have discovered, as the Newtonian science has discovered, the seen is ordered. So we live in an orderly and intelligent universe. And the way that it comes out in a very simple way for you and me is that consciousness creates experience. The challenge for you and I is that we are not isolated. It is my consciousness which is creating my experience, but it's in a greater way. It is my consciousness interacting with the consciousness of the whole race that's creating my experience. I cannot separate from myself from the race, but I can be inclusive of the way that I move with the race, and in that way become an avenue through which I'm bringing healing and inspiration and uplifting to the race itself. And every time I do anything like that, I'm contributing to my own well-being, both mentally, physically, and spiritually, but I'm also contributing to the well-being of the race and therefore the well-being of the planet. And so I had the opportunity to speak Sunday for the Reverend Dr. I just had a mental blank for the Inspirational Living Center of Orange County, which is the Reverend Dr. David Fears. And he asked me to speak about kindness. And so what I want to do today is see how we can use the energies of regular words that are understood in the human race, English language words, and then use those words to access a much deeper spiritual energy. So what I talked about on Sunday with the Inspirational Center was my journey to India in 1999 to be with the Dalai Lama. And what I reminded everybody, and will remind us here today, is that the Dalai Lama for a long time, for many, many years, decades, has been saying that his religion is kindness. Now, it's really interesting because what we know is that the tradition of the Tibetan Buddhists is loaded with disciplines and spiritual practices that involve, for the Buddhist monks, involve years of learning these disciplines and learning these practices and applying the practices together. And so when the Dalai Lama says my religion is kindness, he's not talking about his spiritual practice, which is rooted in Tibetan Buddhism. He's talking about the way it comes out into the world. So what I believe, is that we live in a universe whose impulsion is love. The universe exists because it loves itself. It became conscious of itself, it became aware of itself, and then its great gift to itself was the giving of that awareness to itself through what we would call the children, or through the Atman or Christ consciousness. And that's the perfect pattern of the I am that I am. And that perfect pattern is our soul nature. Neshama is called in the ancient Jewish tradition. And that soul nature is the avenue through which we are being guided. I am the way, the light, and the truth, which is my soul nature is the way, the light, and the truth. And no one can get unto the original field, unto a direct contact, except through that immortal spiritual nature, through that gift of God, which is your Christ nature, which is simply a universal term. It's not a personality. Just like the Buddha was not the Buddha, he became the Buddha. He came the consciousness of the Buddha, the awakening one, right? And so we have seen in the embodiment of Jesus and Buddha, this is what David Hawkins, in his scale of power versus force, calls the highest place. They are the best demonstration of spirit in form in the human body, because their awareness climbed up to this I am consciousness, to this Buddha awareness, to this Christ self, yes? Now, the good news for you and me is that awareness belongs to everybody. We are all one with the one. We've all been given this gift of the I am consciousness, and therefore we have all been given the tools to ask, seek, and knock to bring that consciousness into our lives. So this impulsion of love, the universe gave itself to itself out of loving itself, meaning that your very existence is an act of love. And therefore, the more you can participate in love, and here's how we define love in the human condition to separate it from romantic love, although they're never really separated. But the real love is unconditional love. Love given freely, without demands, without expectations, and without seeking anything in return, right? And we become an instrument of that love, that energy. And that's the energy we're supposed to carry into our relationship with all of life, into our relationship with our family, with our friends, with our peers, with our four-legged friends, with nature all around us. We're supposed to be in this unconditional love and be an avenue through which that unconditional love is flowing. But oftentimes, if you say the words "I love you" to somebody who may not be that aware, you'll see a knee-jerk reaction to being told you were loved, which is kind of funny because your natural state is to be loved. So that's what humanness, our ego, our personality, has done with love. We've mixed it up with romantic love, with sexual love, with all kinds of connotations about the word love, and that's why it's kind of well known, I believe, pretty much around the world, certainly in the United States, that Californians are kind of airy-fairy. Well, it is also well known that the voice of the people in California has been leading the way for the rest of the nation for a long time. And that's not to say any place is better than any other place, but socially there's a receptivity to new ideas, to openness, to the rainbow of the world, the fact that the world is a diverse world, and that the world is filled with colors. As we often say, you don't have to ask whether God believes in diversity. Look at what God creates. Everything is diverse, and all of it belongs. And so that means all people, all of nature, all of it belongs, and we just are learning and unfolding as we go forward. You know, what's the great purpose? You know, we would ask ourselves, what's the great purpose behind mosquitoes? Well, there is one. We just may not know it yet, so we just deal with mosquitoes, yeah? And there must be then a great purpose behind viruses that live on the planet and all of a sudden emerge. And that's where we are now. And so again, what we know is the vaccines are forthcoming in different natures. It's going to take a while for critical mass to get that vaccine, and therefore carry around the defense system and their immune system to prevent them from illness. And we can strengthen that 1,000, 1,000,000 times over if we begin to participate with the energy that heals, uplifts, inspires, and brings forth more life. And that energy is the energy of unconditional love. And the way that it begins in the human condition is with civility. And then what we seek to bring into our own character, and we've talked about these words before. Civility is the beginning, courtesy, decorum, politeness, and respect. That's the beginning. So when I begin to deal in a civil way with other souls, we're already bringing forth the energy of kindness, which is the beginning energy of unconditional love. And what I can say as someone who's had the opportunity to spend several days with the Dalai Lama in his home in Dharamsala, India, both at his Tibetan library and in the palace, what we know about the Dalai Lama, that what he calls love, what he calls kindness, is the movement of an unconditional love, an unconditional respect for every human being that he encounters. So you and I, by beginning with civility, and that's why we brought in this word affability, which is simply a word that brings these other qualities into civility, right? The qualities of congeniality, cordiality, friendliness, good-naturedness, graciousness, niceness, pleasantness, sociableness, and warmth. Can you see the word affable is, if one is accused of being an affable person, it's probably the nicest accusation could ever been given. It's a very, very high compliment, because what it means is the energy of warmth and pleasantness and niceness and graciousness is moving through you. Now, I would ask you, doesn't the energy of unconditional love also include all of those qualities? So I just pause for a moment to remember. Coffee with Casper is offered around the world every Tuesday. It remains now on YouTube. You can find Coffee with Casper on YouTube. Just type in Coffee with Casper and look for my face, in case anybody else has Coffee with Casper. But there's a channel, and we have all of them up there. And now, first time today, we're broadcasting live, which means I cannot see your comments unless you put them up on the Facebook page. When they go into the comment section on the live broadcast, then I can see them. Yes? So make sure to put your comments up on Facebook so I can see you, because they're no longer coming up on my screen here as we're going live, because we're now streaming to two different sources of broadcasting, or streaming out in the world. And what we ask you to do is, if you find something valuable in what we talk about during Coffee with Casper, what we ask you to do is to share this video with anybody who you know who might be receptive and who might get something beneficial from it. So again, here's where we're going today. What we know is the impulsion of the universe is love. What we know is the world is not quite ready for you to go out and tell everybody that you love them unconditionally. However, energetically, by practicing kindness and civility, you are moving that affable energy, which is the energy of spiritual love, unconditional love, love given freely, without demands, without expectations, and without seeking anything in return. And the more you're able to share that love in your everyday life through these quote-unquote socially acceptable ways, by being civil, by being affable, by being kind, you are actually directing the energy of unconditional love, which by its own nature has a healing effect, and by its own nature has a strengthening effect. So if we are so blessed as to not have gotten the virus, then we know that love will keep strengthening our immune system. If you are someone who's had the virus, or even now has the virus, that energy of unconditional love will help the healing process tremendously, and may eventually, will in fact cause your symptoms to be minor as opposed to major. Yes? And then you're building up antibodies as we're getting closer and closer to the vaccine that can support from the other side. If we begin to work from the invisible energies of spirit and mind, and bringing those energies forward through us into our kinetic, where we're touching the world, those energies will strengthen us, empower us, guide us, keep us in tune with the voice of the I am within me, which is guiding, guarding, protecting, directing, and leading me into the paths of perfect right action. All of this happens when we simply make the decision to be kind. Also, when you make that decision to be kind, and then your kindness is what you're working on out in the world, that means you've made a decision to step beyond fear into another energy, to the energy that actually helps heal and uplift and inspire and bring forth more life. Yes? That is the energy of unconditional love. And as we say, the way we address that in a society that's learning that it's okay to love each other, that it's okay to support each other, that you can go deeper than just respect. You can go deeper because behind the respect is the sameness of all things. And the understanding that if a butterfly flaps its wings in China and it can change everything, imagine what my constant devotion to kindness and being an instrument of love, which is to be an instrument of light, and we're in the season of light now, yeah? To be an instrument of love and light in the world means that I'm working for my good, the fulfillment of my life's purpose, but also supporting each and every one who's born in the image and likeness that you are born in, the same I am consciousness, and supporting them in comfortably living their lives in fulfilling their purpose. Each one of us is entitled to comfortably live our lives and fulfill our purpose. And the avenue through which we do this is the simple act of civility and courtesy, allowing this quality of affableness to become present in our lives, and then to practice it kinetically, to move from the field of potential into kinetic reality by interfacing with everybody with this intention to love and share light at the highest level simply through our graciousness. Everybody has this in them. All of us can do this. You are here on Coffee with Casper today because you are a light worker. I know that about you because we're vibrating together close enough to be finding each other on the internet in this beautiful format that has come forth called Coffee with Casper. So wherever you are on your journey, we know that new levels of light are moving into your awareness. Your capacity to share them is moving out of you and into the world, strengthening you, bringing you closer to the fulfillment of your own dreams, and causing us to learn through this storm how we want to be on the other side. Who you are is something magnificent. Until we meet again, I invite you to go in the light, as the light, and with the light. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. We'll see you next week on Coffee with Casper. Send your comments onto Facebook so I can say hi to you. Big hugs and thanks for tuning in. Tell everybody, share the video. Bye for now. We'll see you next week on Coffee.